Hey, everybody, it's David Fine from the Figure Guys podcast. Man, we have an exciting show tonight. We have a great guest on our show tonight. And Brother Brutus is, I don't know, I guess he decided he didn't want to be on the show tonight. He had some official business, some magazine, some writing business to attend to, but we got a very special guest co-host. Who is it? Well, Zash will introduce that, but that's all coming up next on a live edition of the Figure Guys podcast, and it starts right now. Welcome into another exciting edition of the Figure Guys podcast. Each week, we sit down with the world's best figure customizers and figure collectors. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy another exciting edition of the Figure Guys. And remember, folks, playing and talking about your wrestling figures has never been this much fun. Welcome into another exciting edition of the Figure Guys podcast. Of course, I am David Fine, the man to my right over there. Yes, right over there is the great Zash Man. He is coming up to us, of course, live from down under. Man, you thought last week's episode was amazing, Zash. This week we have an amazing guest, but we have an amazing fill-in for Brother Brutus, who is on official, writing business. I hate to say he couldn't be here this week. I don't know. Maybe he was at the beach. Maybe he's just drunk. I don't know. But we have a very special guest co-host on the program tonight. But before we introduce that special guest, we always have to introduce the apprentice, the great Tyler Peters. I put him in the box where Zash is, but Zash said, no. He is going to be below me for the bionic elbow. Guys, welcome into another exciting edition. The man we have on tonight has 25 years of customizing. It's going to be a great show. Zash, you want to introduce our very special guest co-host filling in for the man who created the LJN Bible, Brutus Valentine, who is on vacation this week. He'll be back next week. You want to introduce the man who resides north of the border and he may be in a good mood. I just wanted to say that.
Brutus is sunbaking somewhere, someplace, living it up, not watching this show at all. I can guarantee it, because Brutus doesn't even have a mobile phone. He only catches up on his messages when he gets on the computer. But never fear, guys. I know we've lost our guru of the show for this week, but we've traded him in for someone really special. He's a crowd favorite. Everyone loves him. Ladies and gentlemen, Duarte DuPont.
What's going on, guys?
Welcome. There, mate. Your house is on fire. What's going on?
I think I'm burning the bread. Hold on.
Somebody help him.
Yeah. Uh-oh.
It's a pleasure to fill in for Brutus, of course, and back on the show.
I was surprised when you messaged me and you said, David, anytime that you need me to fill in for anybody except for Tyler, because we cannot live without Tyler, because he's not our intern, he's our apprentice, and he's kind of like Donald Trump's show, The Apprentice. He's our apprentice. One day he'll have his own show. What you have a Hulkamania shirt on? Was this WrestleMania from yesterday and Sunday?
It was, man, and he was the host with Titus O'Neil. So it's fitting. WrestleMania, you got to have Hulkamania. But don't worry, I've got to work on my impression of him, so I'm not going to bother. Yeah.
And Zash, the man who is going to be on tonight has more experience customizing than almost Hulk Hogan has in professional wrestling. Do you want to introduce our very special main event of the evening?
I will introduce him, yes. Our guest today is one of the most influential, experienced customizers in LJN history. He's been doing it for that long. He knows the ins and outs. He's a 3D printer. He does the whole lot. My guest today on the show is Mark Cochran.
Hey guys, how's it going?
How are you, buddy?
Doing good. Thanks for having me here.
I hope you liked that, mate. I gave you a big boost up, but it's all well deserved. You're You're a great man. You do a lot for the community, and you've been doing this a very, very, very long time.
Yeah, thank you for that.
I mean, you have had 25 years experience. Your bio, it reads, it's like, it's legendary. I know you started collecting back in the late 89, 90. I know your brother had some figures. When did you start collecting? I know you probably started customizing later, but when did you start collecting, and who was your first figure?
Really, the Roddy Piper figure was first wrestling figure we had. We had G.I. Joes and some Star Wars and Transformers, stuff like that. But the Roddy Piper was one my brother actually got for his birthday one year. And then we weren't even into wrestling then. We knew what it was, but we weren't into it at all. And so we were like, this is kind of a weird figure. It doesn't go with anything we have. So it just kind of sat in a box for a couple of years. My feed just went a little bit. Y'all have me?
We still got you.
Okay.
Hey, Mark.
It disappeared on me.
Mark, I can remember when I first started making customs going back a few years ago now. And I recently looked back on a few of my really early ones. I think it was even my first one. And I looked at the comments on the figure. And you were one of the guys that said a lot of supportive stuff and helped me out and gave me a lot of input on what I should be doing and how I can improve it. But you were saying how great a figure it was, even though looking through my eyes years later, it looked absolutely awful. But, mate, I still notice to this day you give people, the new guys, a lot of advice. You advise a lot of products and stuff like that. You're not one of the guys that keeps the secrets close to your chest. You let them out and you give out your knowledge.
Yeah, I like to help people out. I like to see people grow and develop their skills on that. I started somewhere, and everybody else has to start somewhere. And there was guys that were around when I first started that were great, and they taught people, and you see what they do and learn their tips and tricks, and you kind of grow. And I still learn new things. I've been doing it so long that there's stuff I forget, and then I'm like, oh yeah, I haven't done that in years. Let me try that again. But you see people try new things, and then you get people that every once in a while you'll see something somebody does that somebody will go, oh man, that's a new trick, but it's like, not really. People have been doing that for years.
Well, I'm
it just hadn't been seen in a while. So
if I learn a new trick and I think no one else knows about it, I'm doing backflips, but the chances are you guys have done it many times over. But we've got Tyler over here in the corner. He's got some questions for you, buddy.
Sure.
So Tyler, shoot away and hit Mark with some big ones.
Yeah, Mark, like everybody, great to have you on the program. Can you educate the listeners and viewers about some of the other major lines out of your collection of figures that you've been working on or maybe in the process of working on?
Sure, yeah. So, honestly, I don't do much with LJN. I'm a fan of the line. I don't have many in my collection, and I've actually only have one LJN custom that I've been working on. I have a few that I'm going to be doing, but Hasbro's been kind of my main collection standpoint over the years. But the last few years has been Marvel Legends and UFC figures. I don't really collect a whole lot of the recent wrestling stuff. I do some Mattel, but not a whole lot. Kind of all over the place with Marvel Legends, DC, some Spawn figures, kind of a bit of everything. I'm kind of dabble.
Yeah, I know you've been the figure guys, we mainly talk about wrestling figures, but I know you deal in UFC customs. Who have you done recently and maybe in the past that you would like to talk about?
I've actually done a lot of figures for UFC fighters. I've been very fortunate to do that. Ariel Helwani, the broadcaster, has the MMA Hour show. I've actually done a couple figures for him. And he opened the doors to a few other people. Dwayne Ludwig, Roy Nelson, I'm trying to think, Chris Weidman, and there's probably like 10 or 12 others. I'm blank on some names right now, but
I really
I've got a couple
myself up to scratch with these names. I haven't heard of any of them guys.
I got a couple, I got one in front of me here, Kazushi Sakuraba.
Oh.
Have you ever heard of him? He's dabbles in pro wrestling. So
talk me through how you made that. What's it out of? Have you made that from scratch? Is it from another figure? Talk us through that because that looks really unique.
So it's a round 5 MMA figure. They no longer manufacture. They went out in 2014. They were around from about 2009 to 2014, and that's kind of my niche is round 5 figures. I still make figures in that kind of realm. A lot of it's just been resculpting what's they have in their parts, reparting their parts and resculpting. And I didn't even get into like the 3D print stuff till recently. So most of my round 5 figures don't even have any of that touching them yet. It's all been stuff I sculpted.
Oh, nice.
So like this one, this was a Forrest Griffin head. I don't know if you know who Forrest Griffin is, but he's kind of a goofy looking guy. And I resculpted the whole face.
Very nice.
I've done some wrestling ones, so like I've got a Scott Steiner here, the same style figure.
Yeah, I can recognize his goofy head, but that's Scott's.
That's actually a Frank Mir figure from Frank Mir head. So they all start out something different. I've got one that's Anderson Silva as Spider-Man. This one's actually for somebody. I haven't sent it out to them yet, but it's got battle damage and everything. Oops, moving off the camera here.
So are you on pages where you show these off, Mark, or groups?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't posted a whole lot on my Instagram. I have Gonzo Customs page on my Instagram. There's a few other pages I'm in. So I'm in a Marvel Legends group, and then there's Round 5 MMA group that's kind of dead. I mean, that whole, like I said, that line ended in 2014, so there's not a whole lot of activity on it. There's about 3 of us that still make figures in that kind of genre. UFC just had a new line come out with the Jazzwares, so there's been a little resurgence in UFC figures, but not a whole lot. At least not that I've seen.
With Customania coming up, are you going to be making figures for Customania, LJN figures?
I plan on it, yeah. Hopefully I can get them all done.
Yeah. We hope so.
But I'm going to do LJN, yeah. I've got LJNs planned for that.
Great.
And Dora, do you have any figures you're going to try to sneak into LJN Customania this year?
I'll try, but there's too many good guys out there. Come on, there's too many great guys out there.
You never know until you try.
You're one of them, Dwight.
That's true.
I mean, because this is going to be a great contest. I mean, it's going to try to be something that we do every year, and it's going to grow. I mean, it's going to be a contest where the fans vote. I mean, where we get So I mean, you could sneak one in there, and I mean, the 3 main prizes. I mean, it's got some awesome trophies, that we're going to be presenting. I mean, it's definitely something that you need to try to enter. I mean, it's coming up in July, late July, mid July, and I'm telling you, I mean, I know you've got some more questions. Just because you're like the journalist of this broadcast team. I mean, I'm the audio guy. Zasha's he's the brains and the beauty behind the product, and you're just you're David, the multimedia.
If I'm the brains, we're in trouble, buddy. We're in big trouble. Listen, just before we shoot on to Tyler, can I just say something quickly? Guys, we are going to start pushing Customania, promoting it over in about a 2 weeks' time. But the reason why we're not going so full on about it now is over at LJN for Life, they've got a custom competition happening at the moment. Michael Weemsley, there's his comment. It's about the fun. Yeah, absolutely. You hear that, Dwight? Sure. It's about the fun, buddy. But listen, LJN for Life's got a custom competition on at the moment. Look, it's too late to enter it. It's underway, but get on their Facebook group. Put your votes in. There's so many quality figures on there that people have entered. Just get on, choose your best figure. I'm not going to tell you which ones are mine because I don't want to influence anyone, but I've been chucking on some votes even though I've entered. I just love some of the figures people have put on there. So get on there, vote for your favorite figure. That's LJN for Life, guys. If you're not in the group, request to be a member in the group because it's a great group and a great competition they're hosting. But after that's all finished, we're going to really be pushing Customania competition. So just wanted to get that out there to everyone. Now it's over to you, Tyler.
Yeah, hey, I'm looking forward to Customania myself. And, Mark, what I wanted to ask you, is it true that you also did model cars? Is that correct in our research prepping?
Yeah, I did. Actually, that's kind of how I started with some of my paint stuff. I actually did some Pinewood Derby stuff with scouts too. So
Oh, cool. Yeah.
so Pinewood Derby, and then a neighbor friend of mine got me into model cars and started learning painting and some different stuff with that, and kind of where I developed my skills essentially, I guess. But I didn't do it for very long, maybe a couple of years.
I just think it's awesome how the parallels, like going from wrestling, UFC, and then model cars got you started out. I just think it's interesting hearing the stories and getting more background is what I was getting at with that question. And thank you for that answer. Yeah.
Are they
I do a
die-cast
lot of
cars,
woodworking
Mark,
stuff
or-
too. What's that?
Jack of all trades. Are they die-cast cars that you do up, or?
The ones I did these
Model
as a
cars?
kid. They were just the plastic, like Testors brand, Revell brand, like model cars you can buy at, I guess Michael's Hobby Lobby here in the States. I don't know what you have there, but
I've seen some amazing
just the
YouTube
cheap, like $10, $20
videos
ones.
Have you seen them YouTube videos on the Hot Wheels and Matchbox cars? Guys take the whole thing apart
Oh yeah,
and respray them in 2-pack paint and redo all the wheels and everything, and they come out looking
I know a guy that does that.
unbelievable. Do you? Yeah.
I do know a guy that does it. Yeah, he's pretty amazing with it.
I find it fascinating, them videos.
And those things have such small details. It's ridiculous.
Isn't it?
Question
Isn't it
mark.
incredible?
When you're making, just want to know for the viewers, when you're doing those 3D heads for the LJN sides, how long does it take from start to finish? And like talk about how you do that. Because
So I don't
that's,
sculpt
a
them.
big thing that
I
you do
do
around the
commission a
community.
sculptor. So yeah, I don't
No.
sculpt them. I do commission a sculptor for that. But as far as the print goes,
Yeah.
so I do have to do a little chopping of the file when the guy sends it to me. So I have to modify the neck and make a hole in it so that it can actually fit like on a neck peg, or if it needs to mainly for like the Mattel heads, it needs to fit in a neck hole. For LJNs, you don't really need it, but it helps maybe for mounting it. I do a little modification there, and then it's about 30 minutes to an hour of setup. Usually once I do the modification and then put it on the printer does the rest of it. But not a whole lot to it as far as once that goes. The prints themselves take about 4 to 6 hours, depending on which printer I'm on. I have 3 printers now, so. But I do have one of my printers is down. So
I speak to a couple of guys who do the 3D printing. One's
Nice.
Tom Tomeo, Retro Revolution on Instagram, and he's doing a few little bits and pieces of sunglasses and stuff like that for some of my figures. He sometimes has issues with them coming out too thick or too thin and stuff like that with the little fiddly things.
yeah.
Do you have them sometimes where they just don't turn out and you've got to just redo it?
Oh yeah, all the time. There's failures upon failures. Right now, one of my printers is printing these weird bands across them at about 3/4 of the way through the print, and I've tweaked it and messed with it and keep doing all the adjustments I know, and it keeps doing it. So I've been still researching it, trying to figure out what the problem is. And there's different issues with the different printers. I have one printer that's got a lot of manual adjustment. I have another printer that pretty much does it all for itself, and then I've got a resin printer that kind of does its own thing too, but it has its own little quirks. And the resin printer, if your settings aren't right, if you overload it, then different parts of the resin fail. But the PLA printer with my other 2 printers, it's if the bed leveling is not right or different stuff, then you'll get some weird flaws in the print. Sometimes it just completely unsticks from the bed and loses it all. Worse is when it's like 3/4 of the way through a 6-hour print, or even I've done some 48-hour prints and you lose it like 40 hours in, and you're like, oh man.
Yeah,
but it happens a lot. It happens a lot.
I'm going to get one of your heads over here that I've got sitting here. It's one that I've been meaning to do for a little while and I haven't gotten around to it. And I love the detail in it. This is one of Mark's heads. This one's the Rick Rude. I'm really looking forward to attacking this. I've seen a lot of people do it. Look at all the detail in this. When you cast a head, you can't get that amount of detail because you lose some sort of quality along the way when you mold and cast a head. So when you get them fresh off a 3D printer like this, and it's got all the detail in it, you know that you're going to have to do a good job of it because you've got all the veins, all the lines, and I'm really looking forward to whacking some nice little shadings and highs and lows in that head and It may I may ruin the look of your head, but I'll enjoy doing it.
And I mean, Mark, you got another satisfied customer. Tom Ward just got my Mark Cochran order today. So,
Hey, Tom, glad you got it.
Oh,
Another
what
set-
Tom, I want to hear what heads you got, mate. Whack it down in the comments. Tell us what heads you got.
I don't. I just have to be upfront. People, the Australian sayings are much different than some sayings in the United States. So,
Yeah.
whacking and all this other stuff. I'm like, if you say whacking, and I just it seems weird. But
Do you know what? I often have conversations with David on Messenger, and I'll say hello to this stuff, and he'll go, "I don't understand a word you just said. What does all that mean?"
I mean, it's a relationship of many thousands of miles, But one day I'll come to Australia, and one day we'll do a live show together.
Yeah.
That is my goal. But yeah, I mean, it's
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Definitely.
I mean that head. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, it's blue. So you're gonna put it on the Rick Root,
Yeah.
and then you're gonna paint it.
I got a Duarte's got a few of them. I've actually got an order about to ship for him.
Wow.
This is one of the Hasbro body style that I've had done. Scott Steiner head. I've actually got it.
Uh-oh.
Doing it in.
George's got his. He's bringing over his
Hasbro size as
figures.
well.
Uh-oh.
The one in the red is actually printed on my resin printer, so it's actually a little
Mark
cleaner than the one on the bigger one.
Yeah.
Zach, you want to
Is that
show
the
your
same one I've got there? What?
Yeah,
Is that the same head?
yeah. That's from Mark Cochran. Yeah.
Nice.
Good on
Wow.
you. That looks
No,
nice.
I never thought I'd say this. Nice head.
Here's a Owen Hart.
That's a nice
Hey,
one.
yeah, I like the Owen Hart. I'm going to be doing one of your Owen Harts, the short hair one soon. I'm not going to show it on camera because I want a big reveal on that one.
Hey, do you want to share that new one that you just did, or is that something you don't want to share? The one you showed that you sent to me, or
Me, Abdullah.
yes.
Oh yeah, I put him on already. I've got him next in case people wanted to see him. But there he is.
That one looks
That's
awesome.
Psycho. What disease did he have? Some disease or something where he
Hepatitis. He had hepatitis C.
yeah.
He had hepatitis C.
and he
had
shared it.
Well, I mean, if you ever watch an old NWA pay-per-view or show, they did not change the ring aprons. So in like Starrcade '83, it would start out blue. By the end of the Flair Harley race match, it was fucking red. I don't understand. How did they not get all the diseases in the world plus some? And Abdul the Butcher had a steak and seafood restaurant here in Atlanta, or steak and Chinese food restaurant in Atlanta, and it got shut down. So I can't imagine that. But anyway, those are
I think
great.
athletic commissions quit letting him actually compete, didn't they?
Yeah, I mean
The Hep C.
I think he would be bleeding before he got to the ring, which I don't understand how you do that unless you just blade. Good Lord, who is that?
That's another Mark Cochran. Shamrock.
Shamrock.
Yeah, Shamrock. Oh yeah,
Former NWA champion Ken Shamrock. So,
right.
Yeah.
who would have ever thought he would be NWA champion? But that's for another day, another subject. But just saying, Tyler, you have any more hard hitting questions? I mean, because you're the news department here in the at the podcast division.
Well, I try. I don't know how hard hitting they're going to be, but I'll tell you what. Speaking of Ken Shamrock and all these UFC, the collection you got, I mean, what's been your favorite? You talked about Popper, and is there a favorite, or maybe one that will be a favorite that you're currently working on, or at least thinking about creating in your customs? I'm curious to hear about that.
Oh, my favorite, probably my three favorites. I've got a signed Scott Steiner custom that got signed at WrestleCon in 2016, and he actually took the other figure I was going to get signed. So he actually kept one of the figures.
So he stole it.
Kind of. I mean, I gave it to him, but it was actually in his restaurant in the little trophy case he had, or display case in the front of his restaurant. It was in the little bottom of the display case for a while. There was also a Funko Pop that he took as well. The Funko Pop was actually for a friend of mine, and he's like, "I want this one too." He's like, "All right, well, I guess you take it too."
That's so Scott Steiner.
He's my all-time favorite. So I was
yeah.
kind of like, "All right, you can do that." I'm happy with that. I mean, that's a compliment. So
I mean,
sure.
yeah. I mean, Scott Steiner is definitely He's a character. I mean, the transformation from when he was in like the NWA, WCW to where he is today. I mean, just he's. He may be working out a lot, but I'm just saying. Just and a little known fact: his Shoney's, which is now closed down, was the only Shoney's in franchise history that had a bar. The one where your figure was displayed at. So you may want to call him and try to get it back since he may not be displaying it anymore.
Yeah, I wonder what happened to it because I saw people would post pictures in front of it, like tag him on Twitter, and I could see it in the corner sometimes. So
hey,
I wonder what happened to it.
I guess he must have liked it that much. I mean, as a customizer, is that the ultimate compliment if a wrestler likes your work and it's, hey, I'm just going to take it, even though you gave it to me.
For me, it is, yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
and I've given a few like where I've actually gone to some autograph signings with an extra one for them, and that's why I actually brought two, is because I was like, well, I don't know what he'll do, and sometimes they do, and sometimes they want one, sometimes they're just like, yeah, cool, whatever. And he actually was like, hey, which one can I keep? And I was like, I'm going to give you the better of the two. So it was cool for me. Like I said, he's my favorite of all time. But my other favorite figures I have a Fedor custom, Fedor Emelianenko. He's a MMA fighter, and I've got that one autographed. I got to send it to an autograph signing, so I got to physically hold it, see it, and sign that one. And then I've got a Daniel Cormier. I got that one in person as well. Those are probably my three favorites of customs that I've done and have autographed and that sort of thing. And then I've got a couple Brock Lesnar customs that are up there as well, but not autographed, unfortunately.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know if he goes to any signings, but you never know. I mean, you could get that signed by Brock Lesnar one day if he ever decides to go to one of those.
I do have a signed figure, but it's not a custom. And I didn't get it in person. I got it from somebody. So he's one of those guys that you don't really approach. So.
I've heard that.
You do not approach him. Zashu, I mean, I know you have some more questions for Mark.
I want to ask you, Mark, a lot of the heads you come out with are wrestlers that, because I was mainly a WWE, WWF guy.
Same.
I know a little bit of WCW, but I'm not that knowledgeable when it comes to other brands. And a lot of your heads that you bring out, I have to actually Google the names of these guys to find out who they are and what they look like. And if I like the look of them, I might make
Like
the wrestler. But
Like who?
are you gonna venture into the more common wrestlers again soon, or are you gonna stick to the more sort of I don't know, lesser known wrestlers that you sometimes come out with?
More of what I'm going for is guys from WWE or more like WWF, WCW, and ECW. That's more my focus. That's where I'm more of a fan of for wrestling. I've got quite a few guys that are wanting a lot of the older WWF, and I'm going to try to get to some of the older WWF guys, even some LJN guys that were made, just kind of rehash some of their heads that make them better. There's a guy that recently uploaded a bunch of the Hasbro files, so there's accessibility now to print all the Hasbro heads in LJN size. So that's kind of a cool deal. I've got one diesel printing for Duarte right now, and that opens up a lot of doors for some of the LJN guys that were Hasbros, and you can put them in LJNs.
For sure.
But yeah, I'm trying to stay a little bit more mainstream. I've had a few guys that have actually paid for a few heads in the ECW guys that were a little lesser known ECW guys, but I'm trying to get more into some of the mainstream guys as well.
Oh, that's really good.
More my focus going forward.
I've been flat out doing orders myself on. I've done a lot of Legion of Dooms, which are full figure casts, but they have Joe Gador heads. So Joe actually let me cast the whole figure because I made the figure with his heads and do a few for the people that wanted them. So I'll just grab an example. These are the Legion of Dooms that I've been doing for a few of the guys, and I also molded and casted shoulder pads for them, which
nice.
Were a bit of a pain in the ass to paint.
I've actually got a
It's
file
annoying as
for the
hell.
3D print for the pads. I just haven't been able to get it to print right yet.
Right, yeah. Well, these are out of a rubber mold, so I kind of conned my daughter into helping me paint a few of these. So I taught
Nice.
her up and taught her how to paint them. She's actually popped her head in the shed. She just wants to say hello to everyone now. So just pop your head up. She won't be able to hear you because she doesn't have the headphones on. But this is Charlotte. Say hello.
Hi.
So
Hello.
she's been helping me paint these pads up. So she's been
That's
wanting
awesome.
to come on the podcast for a little while and say hello to you guys. So here she is. Quick hello to my offsider, and she's going to be helping me do little bits and pieces on like parts or accessories and stuff like that. So yeah,
I heard she's I heard she's getting to be as good as you. Is that
Mate,
is that is that the word on the street?
I'll tell you now, she's got a sharper eye than me because I'm getting old. She's got a steady hand because I'm getting shaky. But she ain't as good as me, I'll tell you that, just between us. She's got potential, but come on.
Give her a few years.
Oh, this is
Hey,
another one she made. She just handed it to me, but that's one that she made by herself. So
Uh-oh,
Nice.
I see
Did a good job.
I see a potential
great job,
potential contestant in LJ and Customania. I'm just saying. I mean,
well,
the people are going to be voting on it. I mean, there's no insider influence. I'm just saying. I mean, she's not on the show. She could enter. I mean,
absolutely. You never know. Actually, you never know. I might get in her ear about that. That's the point. If the other contestants don't mind one of my family members entering,
Not a problem at all.
It's one of those contests that's just open to anybody. I mean, we're going to be here on our Facebook page, on our YouTube page. We're going to be an LJN for life. I mean, LJN for life. I mean, like you said, they have their contest right now. Michael Weems, I mean, he is a good dude. I mean, he came on the program a couple weeks ago, and he's just been 120% behind us. I mean, he's been promoting us. We're live on his page right now. I mean, we're on Sasha's page. We're on everybody's page. It's just one of those things. LJ and Customania. It's going to be amazing. We're going to be announcing it in the next couple weeks. And if you're listening and watching, and even if you new to the customizing, we want to see your best shot. I mean, everybody is eligible to enter. It doesn't matter if you've been doing it for 6 days or 25 years, like Mark. I mean, we want everybody. We want from the newbies to the to the veterans. I mean, we don't.
And you know what, David? It don't just enter with no pressure. Don't feel the pressure of it. Just have fun.
Yeah, I agree.
Competitions are all about. You don't have to win. You don't have to win them. It's not about winning. It's about being a part of it and having fun. And if you're not good, you've got less pressure to win. So don't worry about it. Just enter it and have a good time.
If you're not first, you're last, right? Ricky Bobby.
Yes, if you ain't first, you're last. I mean that.
What a
that's,
classic.
I mean that is true. I mean, and Zosh, like we have told other people that we're not talking about. It's about. We're talking about wrestling figures. We're having fun here on the podcast. Like every other Facebook group, like LJN for Life, they're having a good time over there doing their contest. We're gonna have fun doing LJN Customania 2021, which 2022 is going to be even bigger because this one is just going to be amazing, and I cannot wait to see all the entrants. And we have no say so in the winter, where those numbers are going to be in a secret vault in Bruce Valentine's home. And so, I mean, he's probably the most
collusion.
Yeah, he is the most trusted person that I know in Australia. Oh,
that book looks unread. Have you read that, Dwight? Come on.
Of course.
I want to see some smoke stains, some coffee stains.
He steam presses it every night.
Do you know what? I know a few people will relate to what I'm about to say, but I've had Dwight send me figures that are full of some kind of like a green resin on it from some oily, greasy substance. I've seen you smoking something tonight, Dwight, and I know you're in Canada, and I know you're allowed to smoke whatever.
No, I'm rolling my own cigarettes.
Yeah, that's all fine, but keep it away from those figures. Keep it away from those figures.
Figures are smoking.
I heard that's when he makes his best figures. I'm just saying. What happens in Canada stays in Canada. Canada's a great place. Vancouver's nice. I went to Vancouver. I like Vancouver. So.
Hey, some of the best songs are written on that, so why can't the best figures be made on that?
He's a good man, Swat. He's a good man.
Trust me. There's not gonna be any kind of test at the end. You cannot be disqualified for any enhancing substances. So smoke away, do whatever you want to. If it's legal where you are, because this contest is open to everybody in the whole entire world. We have people from Australia, from people from Canada. We may even have somebody from Tennessee. Put together a figure. You never know. You have to smoke a lot to go to Tennessee. Just saying.
There's a lot of fighters out there. There's Ash, there's Mark, there's Joe Gatter, there's Nick Hillis, Caleb Blankford. There's a lot of guys that do great work. So I hope they all enter because it would be a fun contest. There's a lot of good guys. A lot of guys have incredible work. I have all their work, right? So I can always say that I hope all the guys enter.
Exactly right. What you say, Joanne. I won't be entering because I'm running it, but exactly what you say would be a dream if all these guys enter and be a part of it.
Sure. Even if that legendary guy BD, I think it's BD Haynes, whatever.
I tried. If he would enter, it's not going to happen.
But it'd be cool to see even his work, right?
I tried to get him, mate. He's coming on the show in a few weeks. I tried to get him to enter, and I talked to him, but it was a tough one. That one, he's all but retired. He'll plot away in his own time. He won't. He'd never really been into comps, I don't think. So each to their own. But it would have been good if he entered. But I know we're getting actually some. I'm friends with some customizers on the Mattel sort of customizers as well, and a couple of them want to enter as well. So it'd be interesting getting some new faces that are experienced at making customs, but none of us know the person. Attempt something in LJN fashion, you know what I mean, and see something different pop up, which would be good as well, and I don't know how it will get over with the crowd, but that's up to the crowd, but the more the merrier. Get I don't care if you haven't even done a wrestling custom before, have a go. You might be a good painter, you might paint things on canvas and you might surprise everyone. Everyone's different,
and don't be afraid to think out of the box. Definitely try something different. Try something new.
Yeah, another guy that, according to this comment, he doesn't. The picture's not out there, but I know who it is. Big Daddy Monroe, Jerry Monroe. He is a great customizer. He is. Before I met all of you, he was amazing. He's been on the program. He does customs LJNs. He does customs, other type of customs. Hopefully he will enter the contest. It's going to be one of those contests that.
Oh yeah.
He is.
If Jerry enters, it'll be great. I'm glad you're watching, Jerry. Thanks for commenting, mate. We can't wait to have you on the show. You were going to be on a few weeks ago, but things got moved around and changed. But we're looking forward to having you back on the show in the coming weeks or months, mate. Whenever you're ready to come on.
It's definitely our next couple of months. Are going to be amazing. It's with LJN Custom Mania coming up in July. We have, tonight's show. We have a great guest co-host. I'm sorry to say that Brutus will be back next week. So, he'll be back from his holiday, or his whatever he has. But it's been an amazing show. Tyler, before we get going in a few minutes. I know you had another question for Mark or our special guest co-host.
Yeah, I was just going to ask this, and I know it's a pretty common question to really a lot of you all on this panel. But what are some tips? Speaking of somebody who wants to get in that competition, about customizing, making up your own unique figures. And that's something I think a lot of listeners and viewers, including myself, even on this show, would like to know more about it and learn. So that's kind of my question.
I say just watch vintage WWE, right? Watch WrestleMania 1, 2, see a guy that you want to make, and then just make him to how it is. That's how I would do it.
Gotcha.
Far as overall sculpting and different stuff, I'd say get reference pictures, print out reference pictures or pull them up on your computer. Get the point of reference so you can kind of make it try to replicate it as much as you can. Sculpt in layers. Like if you're doing hair and you need to make it really thick, sculpt a good base layer so that when you sculpt it, it doesn't look flat. When you add accessories, different stuff, if you add the little depth to it, it goes so far with the what you I can't even talk with what you're doing on the figure. It just adds that different level of detail to it, and you can really tell when you see somebody do that.
I mean, it's one of those, common questions that we have. I mean, I've asked everybody that's been on. Mark, I'm going to start with you. Who is the most unique wrestling custom that you've been asked to do or that you have done?
Ooh. Man. might come back to me. I'm going to think about that for a second.
Duart, what was your most unique or figure that you've been asked to make or that you've made just on your own?
No, I've asked to make was I've asked Nick Hales to make me Vince Senior, Vince McMahon's dad, in an LJN form. That's probably the one, and I've never seen that one made, right? A Vince Senior.
Yeah,
I gave Nick Hales that challenge.
I think Sin Bodhi did that, didn't he? Oh no, you're talking about the older Vince.
I'm talking about Vince's daddy, man.
Yes.
The guy who started it.
That is a tricky one. I wouldn't even know what he really looked like. I think I've seen him only a couple of times, but yeah. I know Sim Bodhi did Vince McMahon, and he did the big muscly Vince McMahon, yeah.
Yeah, when he was juiced.
Juiced up, yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Vince McMahon's not on the juice. I don't know what you're talking about. I mean, he's the most muscular. I don't know how old he is, but that man must work out constantly. Don't you think, Tyler?
Yeah, absolutely. I think he does. Yeah, for sure. I mean,
hey, Zash, you have any new figures you're working? I mean, any more? I know you did the ones where the not the clear ones where you could see the light through it. I mean, have you done any more of those molds? I know you did the Akeem.
Yeah, I do them sometimes, but I just primer over and paint them just because I don't know really, how much people would want one of those figures. Once you've seen them all, sort of thing. But I'm working on quite a few. I don't really like normally showing off whips, which is work in progress customs, because I'm always thinking it's never going to look really good until I'm finished. Oh, thanks, Muller's awesome. I don't know who that is, but thank you. But you know what I mean? Like sometimes you show a whip and you've taken the whole surprise away by showing it, I feel like. Because then people have seen where you're going and everything. Like if you show, bang, here's what I've made. People are like, wow, how did you do that? I don't know. It's just something. Maybe I'll be more into it later on.
This is actually one
I'm working on. Oh, Tito,
nice.
From where did you get that, Tomeo?
I got from Todd Tomeo from Retro Wrestling Revolution.
Yeah,
yeah, that one. That's the one I just finished painting. If you were asking me for.
That's nice.
Very nice.
Yeah,
very nice.
Yeah.
Hey, to answer your question on a unique one, I'd have to say I did a posed kind of figure set of Thiago Silva, Keith Jardine, and Herb Dean from a UFC fight where Thiago Silva had knocked out Keith Jardine. And so I actually made Keith Jardine in a knocked out pose on the ground. And Thiago Silva was kind of standing over him doing kind of a taunt. And then Herb Dean was kind of there pushing him off. So that was kind of maybe the most unique setup I've done.
Yeah,
Nice.
It's funny. People associate, at least in wrestling, that there's wrestling figures, but there's so many, like you said, UFC, there's Marvel, there's so many unique, customs that people can do. There's so many good custom makers out there. And I know that you do the Gonzo customs. Can you kind of talk about that? What you do with that?
I really don't post a whole lot with it anymore. I just kind of post in some of the figure groups is really where I do it. But I've had the Gonzo name for probably about 20 years. Way back on the Wrestling Figs forums, there was one before that. I want to say maybe AFR that there was a big wrestling group on there. It's kind of where I got into the wrestling customs and started learned how to sculpt. Was seeing some of the guys do that and got into sculpting on that. That was probably like in '99, and just the WFIGS forums like 2000 to 2003 was like a hotbed for customs, and everybody had their own moniker and their own name, and everybody kind of gimmicked up and had their thing, and that's just kind of where my Gonzo Customs things came up. Came up with a kind of a gimmick there, but back then you had guys like Brian Beatty, who's now Creation Cribs. He does stuff professionally for all sorts of companies. In fact, Loyal Subjects recently with all the WWE stuff, and those guys would do like full head sculpts before Jax had real scan technology, and he was one of those guys that actually I want to say he got a cease and desist from WWE or from Jax because he made some figures that kept selling on eBay for like $600.
Wow! Imagine
they
getting
were full head sculpts and like full packaging and everything. They looked like the real deal. They were awesome. But then he went on to do like a lot of independent wrestlers and stuff like that. But there were guys that did a lot of full posed customs. Posed customs was a big thing back then. A lot of guys did that. That's kind of what I got into early on, was a lot of posed. But there were some guys that were phenomenal with just sculpts before there was even anything that you could do with. I mean, you were looking at TTL heads and bone crunchers, and people were making some phenomenal stuff back then. And sadly, most of those guys aren't around. Most of them disappeared, aren't doing anything. They've just kind of walked away from figures completely.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that, I mean, that it's kind of, I mean, I consider it, there are a lot of people who, it's kind of an addiction. I mean, you start customizing and start, there's people on these groups that have, 600-700 figures. And I'm like, if I had 600 or 700 figures, A, I would not be married, and B, I would be probably broke. But I mean, it's one of those things that it's a good addiction. I mean, it could be worse. I mean, it's, it is what it is. But before we wrap up tonight, just wanted to go around the room and see if there's anything that anybody's working on and maybe want to get out to our listening and viewing public that maybe they want to look out for. Mark, we'll start with you. You doing anything that you want people to be maybe on the watch out for?
I've got some Hasbro bodies I'm going to be printing here soon. I've got this Scott Steiner I showed a little bit earlier, and I've got Great Muda he's not all the way printed, his arms are missing, but I've got a Owen Hart body, a Rick Rude body, I've got a Vader coming, and I've got a couple others that I haven't revealed to anybody yet, but got those. My sculptor that I've been working with, he's sculpting them for me, and I'll be printing them here soon.
That's amazing. Duarte, do you have anything that you're working on north of the border?
You're not gonna get me, buddy. You tried the last time. You're not gonna get me again. If I were to try to enter, I'm not gonna tell you now. I didn't tell you then. I'm not gonna tell you now.
Alrighty, moving on. Well, hey, don't worry, folks. Brutus is going to be back next week, so he'll tell me what he's got going on. Tyler, do you have any? What are you working? I know you'll tell me what you're working on. What are you working on that you can reveal to our viewing and listening public?
Well, I've just been writing some more articles for a website called The Buzz, and also doing another podcast called the Rewind Wrestling Radio Podcast, kind of review the current wrestling, and also we'll have special guests as well, interviews, and along with this tremendous show, the Figure Guys Podcast. And that's pretty much all for right now. So.
Yeah, and I mean, I know Brutus was talking about last week that we're gonna be unveiling a new segment on the program, not this week, next week, where you look back at kind of the revelation and the of figures and how they came to be, just the whole background of a wrestling figure. We're going to be debuting that hopefully in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, sounds great.
Yeah. Well, you sound as interesting as you sound like I've blindsided you, but I think I think I may have misdescribed it as.
Now wait a minute. Now what we need to do is Ash is do Terry Funk, a figure of him. That's what we should do. Yeah, but I'll let Ash.
And for some reason, Michael Weems says we need to have figures of I don't know if we need to have figures of ourselves behind us or wrestling figures behind us. I'm just just saying.
Look,
I
we
mean,
need to get that sorted, boys, because the audience needs something to look at. They're all looking at me because I've got all the action behind me. You guys are getting no looks from all the ladies because you've got no figures out there. So get yourself together, guys.
the ladies
that's
don't.
the
The ladies
issue,
don't look at me for my figures. Josh, I promise you, they don't look at me for my figures. But do you have anything that you're working on?
Yeah, but just before we get on to me, Tyler, can we have the voice of the week, mate? Who are you interpreting this week?
Yeah, well, I kind of gave it away with Terry Funk. I'm going to try this out and go. Well,
Before you do,
yeah, wait a minute.
Wait. I need a drum roll, and I need to let the audience know this is going to be a weekly thing. Every time, towards the end of every show, I don't even know how to talk. I've lost everything. At the end of every show, we're going to do a Tyler's take on is it an impersonation? Is that what you call it?
Yeah, kind of just a voice impersonation. Yeah.
He's incredible at voices. He can do all the voices in the world. But tonight we have Terry Funk. Yeah, let's go.
Well, thank you, Zash. I left my horses down there in Texas for Mr. Vance McMahon, NWA, the Funk family. Mick Foley, watch out. I wrestled you in Japan, you egg-sucking dog. It's Shotgun Saturday night, and yes, I want to see more customs and custom mania for Mr. Terry Funk. And don't forget Roadhouse, where I beat up Patrick Swayze and Sam Elliott. I'm also a big movie star, by God. And I will go through tables for Paul Heyman if he asks me again. Or Chainsaw Charlie was my idea, Mr. Cornette. I love you, Corny, but I was Chainsaw Charlie. Yeah, so I'm trying.
Wow. I mean,
brilliant.
I mean,
it sounded like you were going into a bit of Paul Bearer there.
I was.
I like it.
That's really how I came up with Terry Funk. It's pretty much a hybrid of Paul Bearer, So it's kind of like
give the audience a quick Paul Bearer go. That's my favorite.
Well, let me tell you about the funeral parlor, Mr. Terry Funk. Oh, Kane got inducted to the Hall of Fame. Oh, yes. It does kind of go to Terry Funk. But yeah, Paul Bear's probably the one I've been working on the most. So I kind of have to. There's a parallel. That's true. Yeah, because they both kind of had that soft, kind of higher voice, not as deep as you might think.
I mean, holy shit! Who would have thought Terry Funk and Paul Bearer would have been on the Figure Guys podcast?
I was getting them mixed up. I didn't know who was talking.
Yeah, well, the horse is,
I mean, what?
Just a little bit. You got Howard Finkel.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Figure Guys podcast. The winner of the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, Stone Cold Steve Austin, and welcome to WrestleMania.
Don't use all your voices up in one episode.
We're using too many.
Oh my God!
But I couldn't help it. I had a guest request.
Hey, folks, we will not be on next week because we'll be getting a cease and desist from Vincent Kennedy McMahon. He'll be like, but I mean,
WrestleMania. Come on, man. Come on. He doesn't care.
Hey, do you want to end it with the man who was the host of WrestleMania last week, the man who you have on your T-shirt? I know you can do a good one.
I don't know about that one. That's tough.
Come on, brother. Can you?
I haven't really done Hulk Hogan, so this is going to be pretty rough. But well, what you gonna do, brother? Yeah, I've been taking the vitamins, the prayers. I've got the big guns, Titus. Come on. It's WrestleMania. What you gonna do, brother? Come on, Vinnie Mac. Come on, tell me. Well, Hulkster, come on. Welcome to WrestleMania. And my God, I went behind the camera, Stephanie. I told you I'm getting too old for this crap. But it's WrestleMania. Oh, see ya. Come on, Vince. Thank you for giving me that. See, I got to work on Hulk because I wanted to
we could do a whole show of Tyler impersonations. I mean,
I don't know.
If we do audio only, then people will think we've got all the celebrities from wrestling on the show, and we can just pretend it's them.
Hey, you know what? I have a great idea. Who needs to pay these major wrestling celebrities to do the intro for the podcast? We will just get Tyler to do it. I'm just saying. Just
I
keep
don't-
that between
Makes
me
sense.
and.
You
Makes
guys are
sense.
giving me too much credit. I told you the Hogan one I still got to work on, but the others I'm good there.
But Zosh, you have anything that you want to say to the audience listening and watching before we hit the road tonight?
Oh yeah, I'll just mention what I've been working on. If you like, last week I had a good week. I basically spent the whole bloody week working on a figure for the LJN competition, and I changed it about 100 times. By the end, my confidence was shot. I just didn't like what I was looking at, and I just entered it in the end. It was just like, you know what, I've had enough. I'm entering this. Sometimes you just can't get it right. So the whole week I just blew it on 1 or 2 figures, and I do it every single night for maybe 3 or 4 hours. Figures, that is. But this week, because I'm doing 1 week on, 1 week off now, I'm doing orders this week. So everything that's orders, I'll be just smashing out orders this week. And next week, I'll work on my stuff again the following week. Because if I do orders every single week, I just lose the love and I start to just think I'm just pumping these things out. Yeah, that's right. It becomes work.
Yeah, it's easy to get burned out when you're doing nothing but orders.
That's it, exactly. I do them when everyone goes to bed in my house. So I stay up late and I compensate sleep for waking up in the morning and enjoying what I've accomplished, the night before. So that's my thing. So week on, week off, I'm going to start doing at the moment. So I've got stuff to do for Juan. I've got stuff to do for Joe Sprocks, Bobby Beasley, Jeff Betts. So I've got orders to pump out this week for them guys, or as much as I can this week, and then I'll take a week off. I'll do my own stuff and then get back onto them every second week.
Folks, it's been another amazing show. Dort, I just wanted to thank you for filling in for the vacationing Brutus Valentine. You're welcome back anytime, even if Brutus is here. Yeah. See, you're even pimping his book. The man's not here, and he's gonna like sell him out because he's not here because you're pimping it, and you're invited back here each and every week if you want to. Mark, it's been a pleasure. I mean, you're amazing at what you do. Thank you for coming on this week.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. I've had a lot of fun.
And Tyler, thanks for your amazing impersonations. I cannot wait till next. I mean, that's going to be the highlight of everyone's week. Finding out what impersonation you're going to be doing next week. And Zash, I am glad this week you were on time, because last week you lost an hour, so we were scrambling to get on the air, but it was a great episode last week. And before we get going, who is going to be on next week?
Now, next week, I put a little video on. I don't know how many people saw it. It was me half asleep with my reading glasses on, doing customs and speaking quietly while my wife was washing the dishes in the background. But next week, we've got Joe Gador, a good friend of all of ours who has been around a long time, like Mark Cochran. I'm sure you guys have known each other a long time. Mark, you and Joe, you got any stories about Joe? You got any stories about Joe that we should know about?
No, not really.
Come on, mate.
He's a good guy.
Open up. Tell us the juice, mate, so we can hit him with some hard-hitting questions next week.
No, I don't have any dirt with him.
No. Look, I'm really looking forward to chatting to Joe Gador. It's been a good couple of weeks having Mark on this week, Joe on next week. Mate, I'm sure the LJN community is excited to hear these guys talk, because, it's all just typing messages and stuff like that. When we finally get to speak to these guys, I've got the best job in the world coming on and doing this podcast. I really look forward to it every week. So, yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, it's going to be, we have folks, everybody seems to want to come on the show, all the major hard hitters. We had a big major hard hitter tonight, and it just keeps on getting bigger till almost to the end of the year. So, folks, if you miss a week, just go back to our Facebook page at facebook.com/The Figure Guys. Every episode is on that, and the audio version is now on Audible and on Pandora and on iTunes. So just type in The Figure Guys, and you'll be able to listen to it in your car, on your iPhone, on your Android, whatever device
and
that you
don't forget
listen.
YouTube as well, David. YouTube. We want to get the hits up on the old tube.
We're on
YouTube.
We're on the old we're on YouTube, not the other tube anyway. We're on YouTube. So don't type in that other tube, because you won't get us. You'll get some other guys, but we are on YouTube. We're trying to get our numbers up. And like I said, LJM Custom Mania is going to be coming up in a couple of months. And we're going to be talking about it more next week. So, as always, I am David Fine. Thank you for tuning in and listening. Next week, it's going to be another exciting edition of the Figure Guys podcast. And of course, Tyler, Zosh, Mark, Duarte.
I'm pointing to Duarte and doing a smoking
Duarte.
cigarette.
Playing with your figures and talking about your figures. It's not so weird. It's actually fun. We'll see you back here next week.